So we meet again on the brave, bold path into the unknown. Might be able to get some clues, though, about how to find ourselves through some unfamiliar territory if you want to hang out for a bit. But first, I have something I want to show you. It will give you insight about the road ahead and what challenges you may face. But before I can show you the clue I have to reveal to you that can unlock your own data bank of coordinates, I want to ask you just to close your eyes for a second. Turn your attention up toward that third eye of yours to activate your second sight. Take a nice deep breath all the way down to your root. And when you open your eyes, gaze at the image before you here. And just notice the first thing that you saw. Now, most people will see one of two things when they look at that image. They'll either see an eagle or they'll see a mountain. But we know that really our ability to see is only limited by our minds. And once our vision is truly open, there can be a multitude of things that we can see. If you have an Arisian view, you don't think in boxes, you think in tunnels. And those tunnels can be quite interdimensional. Those tunnels can take you some places that you've never been before. Those tunnels can be a bit like rabbit holes, wormholes, portals that open up gateways to other worlds, worlds of imagination in the mind, worlds of imagination that can soon become reality if you have the right elements in play. And so we're going to tap into this perspective to open up this very unusual download that I hope you find as stimulating in how it gets the cogs turning about how to navigate the territory ahead, as I find it to be. So there is a third way of looking at this, and this is a way that is quite creative, where you can see an infinite multitude of possibilities in that image. A few came to mind when I looked at it upside down. Looking at it right side up, I saw one thing, but turn it around, get a different view, much like the hangman, and I saw something quite different. I saw a raven hanging out there, speaking of bringing the fire back to the people, bringing the fire of inspiration that gives everyone a big jolt of life, moves people into motion, has them taking action, not sitting idle. The movement of the people. And then I saw an open book with a sun rising from its center, a book of knowledge opening up, a knowledge that was written in the ancient texts that we lost access to, so we can only remember them as they're encoded in our soul. And this book of knowledge is waking up in us, and it's like the sun rising, makes everything grow in our lives. And then I saw from there milk thistle rising from the valley of Gaia's breasts, the valley of her heart. The valley of the heart is something that can only be accessible to those who know the shadow quite intimately. And so we touched on a bit of dichotomy there. And with this came a download to the truth keeper of the moon, to the shield maiden of Mars. That when you hold great power, you don't move. You wait for the force to compel you to act. This is a time of pause, but success is in sight. You need to strengthen your resolve in order to overcome the self. It's your biggest obstacle at this time. And the road ahead, it presents challenges. It presents opposition. You need to get a lay of the land. And when we look at those two symbols that most people see when they look at that image, the symbol of the eagle, the symbol of the mountain, both offer perspectives. Both allow you to get a lay of the land. And you're going to need a lay of the land for the campaign before you. You are embarking on a hero's quest of character development. There's a great force that's building at this time, but this force is building below. It's like thunder building below. And it is something that is going to create a breakthrough soon. A breakthrough that is a great force that sets about a journey that will reveal to you your true identity. It could be the journey of a lifetime in a single step, in 500 miles, or a journey that's taken melting into the spot where you sit, a journey of the mind. Whatever this is, it startles like thunder. It startles the awakened and the unawakened as well. It startles the awakened to move into action. It startles the unawakened out of their state of illusion. It can come in the form of a tower. But what it does is brings on the tower of power that gives you the ability, if you're able to harness the energy, if you know the wisdom of shoring up the force within, it gives you the ability to stand up next to a mountain, chop it down with the edge of your hand, pick up all the pieces, make an island, might even raise a little sand that can turn back. Those sands of time that have seemed to slip through the hourglass, they can be held in a state of suspended animation, brought together in whatever form you choose. You can bring about this invigoration where you think currently there may only be stagnancy. It's all a matter of perspective, and that's what we're going to hone into here. This perspective, this view that will open up for you. It's a view that will give you an understanding of how truly to wield the force. To understand a certain posturing that currently leaves you at a disadvantage, though it may outwardly appear as a source of strength. It's also isolating in a way that's not advantageous when moving through unfamiliar territories, strange lands where you don't know the customs. Let's get some more details. We're going to go into reads on the two different perspectives as well, because usually you'll see one of the two before you see a third view, and there's a little bit of this coming through too to give you a clue. There's always your side, my side, and then the truth is somewhere in between. But with good old King Shit here on the scene, something isn't currently seen. And that is what needs a new view here, you see. That's what needs a new view for this exaltation, elevation that provides the empowerment of the force to come on through and reveal the lay of the land and also the directive. It's found somewhere between the head and the heart there. That is the vision of the path. But first, something that needs to be cleansed away that's not serving the purpose. A little bit of this BS, perhaps, trying to charge its way forward here. There's indication, no matter what you saw, you may be using a little too much force to open up a road. And you're not allowing the force to move you. You're trying to force the force to do your bidding. And it doesn't really work like that. That's not the way to wield the force here. There's an education coming through here in how to wield the force for maximum efficiency to achieve the objectives of one's campaign. And also, you need to understand by intimately grokking the force, what is the true objective of your campaign anyway? Because it's this view you have of your objective being sourced from your higher consciousness? Are you plugged into your avatar? Or are you operating on your most base instincts here without little to no regard of the true power that you hold in this moment? You may be underestimating your position because of the way that you're trying to invigorate a situation. It's a misuse. Yes, see, it's the parasitic fruit comes in with old Aunt Brenda here, that when we crave to have too much power in a situation outwardly, the force ends up being a source of corruption. It feeds the temptation of our ego, and then all of a sudden we find, as alchemists, we cannot manifest a way through. We do not know how to thwart those forces that oppose us as we head into that uncharted territory here. See, that's why we need to open up that book of knowledge within us. We're almost there. We're almost there, but you can't jump ahead. If you plot and scheme too much, you'll get ahead of the storyline here. And this book is something that's just opening. It's just opening. Cut of the deck here. We got the inverted squirrel. So again, it requires getting a different view here, a different perspective. And what you're calling playing it safe or being mindful about security is actually the thing that could get you hung up here, because there's a need to understand that true ability to navigate the territory ahead doesn't necessarily have any safe spaces, at least not in the traditional sense. Remember to find that path of heart that leads you forward, unobstructed and free. There's a need to let the fear fall behind you so you don't feel so divided. Is there a place where these two separate perspectives actually converge? There's something here too about not focusing on the divergence, but the convergence. It's a shift in view. You see, you can look at it as a valley, or you can look at it as a way through the mountain, or the perceived obstacle that needs to be climbed, and the fear of making the climb itself that could be holding you back, that could be holding you at those crossroads. Meanwhile, there's something that's ready to come through here. You feel the call of the road before you. You feel the call of the quest, and yet you sit divided, the force split in two, and thereby dividing your timeline in two different directions. And all you confront before you are fears. because the only way to get to the other side is to face that fear head on. Interesting energy here. Interesting energy here. See, the thing is, what we're aiming for here is movement in stillness. And how does one move in stillness? One moves in stillness through a knowledge of a power that cannot be overthrown, that cannot be usurped. And that is the clue. That is the clue to the way through. Restraining action creates a concentration of the force when it's harnessed in the right way. Eagle, mountain, two different ways of harnessing the force, two different perspectives, both ways through to get a perspective to understand the lay of the land. This, when activated and harnessed in the correct way, no matter what you're facing on the road ahead, will be like a blockbuster energy. It will turn all of those obstacles into opportunities. As the doors of the perception swing open in your mind, doors of opportunity will line your path, beckoning you to walk through. But first, there's the need for this view. And so I thought that we would begin with going into a read for each of the different perspectives, eagle or mountain, and just see what comes through to support you in navigating this territory that you face. We'll kind of talk about where you're at right now according to which image you saw first, the eagle, or if you saw a mountain. And then from there, I'll go into more detail about the objective of the path ahead and how you can work with that. And we'll bring in some tarot. Now, I'm going to start with eagle at 1726, double eights coming in there, manifestation point. There's a lot of points coming together from not only the future, but the past, meeting in the center of you right now. 1744, again, double eights. Eights are a number you should pay attention to. This is a synchronicity for you. It's giving you some details about how to come into alignment at this time. I did feel really compelled to work with the Gilded Foil Tarot for you. It's a slippery deck, and I do feel like you're dealing with a slippery situation, and it is tricky territory, but you do have the ability to navigate it. When I was doing the pre-shuffle, and I don't know what's on the bottom of this deck right now, we'll have a look at it in a minute, but when I was doing the pre-shuffle for you, Eagle, what I had happen was this deck the whole deck just flew out of my hands and the cards went everywhere. And I went to go and pick them up. And the first card I went to go and pick up, I saw right beside it this little key. I have a whole bunch of little key charms, and this particular key somehow ended up on the floor here, okay? And it was right next to the Hierophant in reverse. And do you see there's two keys that are crossed here, and I got one here in my hand. So I feel like you've got a key here. You've set yourself free from some kind of oppressive or restrictive force. You've overthrown a false power in your life, and you have come into possession. It could be of some kind of knowledge or some kind of vision or some kind of advantage. It could be an actual physical advantage that allows you to tap this power source within yourself now and to activate it on the path ahead. But I do feel like there is another here that you are meant to align with. You aligning with each other brings about gifts. It brings about the activation of Gebo. These are gifts that have been decreed to you by the fates. And in order to retrieve these gifts that the fates have allotted to you and make them the stuff of destiny, there's somebody else here that you have to help get free. There's something about your energies need to link up. I get this is because what was right next to it was the Ace of Swords. So I feel like you already possess Froggerok, the answer. You already have the first treasure of the Tuatha De Danann in your possession. And in fact, it was likely this truth that set you free. You may have spoken this truth. You may have received some answers, but I feel the one you're meant to align with here is in this state. They're preparing for battle. They're preparing for the onslaught. They've already been fending off a lot that's been coming at them. And they're a bit worse for the wear. They may not have the clearest judgment at this time. And what you need to help them with is you need to help them reclaim their fire here. Because this person's running low on energy. This person's running low on fuel. And it could even be a particular perspective that they have that's keeping them deeply entrenched and embattled here. But you two need to come together. Why? Because together, the sword with the fire, that fire they're holding on to here that they're using in such a way to fend off battles when it's meant to align with your sword would create the spear of Lu. And then an action can be taken. This action is transformational. It takes you out of the indecision. It puts the fear behind you. It resolves the choice of the lovers, and a way through is found. Ironically, look what's there, the mountain. The way through the mountain is found. Chopping it down with the edge of your hand. It is as simple as that. Just an awareness, a shift in perspective. He claims the hope of the star. Allows one to enter the stargate, to put the pain and the separation of forces behind and open the road to the new journey ahead. The journey of a lifetime. But it all begins with a single step. It all begins with a journey in the mind from one perspective to another. So this is how this opened up. So we know with eagle flies higher than any other winged creature. So this is quite a different perspective. Oh, and I went and I covered up. Let's see what's behind. Okay, but we see here, this is sort of a hidden danger at this time. 5 of Swords, plotting, scheming, marauders on the path that wish to lead you off course here, lead you off track. So we're going to get a read for you here, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about the eagle perspective, what it's bringing in, where you're at. Interesting. Firefly out there. Firefly. The light in the dark coming through, just like that star, guiding light coming through. You're emerging, eagle, from an energetic chrysalis state. And what you've been shoring up while you've been in this chrysalis state is an extremely magnetizing force. And so it is essential at this time that you are able to move into this new life force that you're holding very gingerly, tentatively. Well, it does require a bit of that. I'm almost seeing, as I said, tentatively, it reminded me of when you would make like a little blanket for it in your house and you'd kind of make it like a tent, and it almost looks like another kind of mountain, right? I don't know why that came through like that, but it did. But it has that quality. It's like, even though you're emerging from a chrysalis state, there's a need to understand that you're working from a different starting point now, internally, energetically. And what you hold within you is an extremely charged force. And since it's magnetizing, before you move it into action, you want to first attune to your surroundings. So you may have been distracted a bit. You may have not been focused enough on how you're harmonizing with your surroundings. And there's a need to do a little epsilon modulation at this time to get your internal energy harmonized with your environmental energy. So reading the room, okay, and aligning your environment as well with the force within you, which means that you have to attune to how the force is guiding you rather than letting your strategizing or your worries or your concerns about how to handle certain challenges sort of block the path precipitously. There's a need to understand that up to this point, you could have been like a ram butting against a fence. And you found yourself in a position where you couldn't go forward or back away, but sort of got held in place. And this is what made everything come undone. Everything dissolved, and you went into that chrysalis state to become something new. And this is a time where you built the force internally within you. And you're meant to do this currently by really identifying what is the difficulty that you've been coming up against. So this is how you're meant to balance yourself out in terms of your current environment with this force that you hold within you. Because if you can do this, okay, if you can hold the line, and if you can really align with the force within you, which does require that you hold space to balance yourself internally, rather than continue to try to come at something from different angles without first really understanding what is creating the blockage in the environment, then you can sort of dissipate that force recklessly. But if you can build it through building light within, light of understanding within, observation that can give you illumination in what is actually creating the blockage, and start to focus on building the light internally and working within to create a sense of not only magnitude but multitude, you will be able to accept the directive of the force, and the way through will become very clear. This is about really waiting for the right moment to act. You will feel it when it's time. Look at that. You will feel it when it's time to take the action with the Chariot, because the force will compel you, just like this character here who is sitting in the seat of the Chariot does not have the reins. It's the balancing of the forces of shadow and light that will converge and provide the way through. Because held within the darkness and what can't be seen is a multitude of probabilities, possibilities. And the light building force is what within that state of darkness, resting within that state of darkness in an acceptance state, will reveal to you the way that that creative power that is inherent in that pause is meant to be activated. The energy will just flow through you. It will provide the chariot forward. The movement will become quite clear. The movement will become quite clear. It will also show you the easiest way to navigate through hostile territory, because you won't always be welcome in strange land, especially as you enter into territory where others are on guard. And it looks like you're supposed to connect with someone here who is prepared for battle. So how do you find a favorable host with one who's prepared for battle, especially when you're meant to join forces together in order to overcome some kind of opposition and invigorate the people into action? And this is so essential because we know there's something worthwhile defending here. This is the truth keeper of the moon and the shield maiden of the Mars coming together to join forces. And just as I said that, we have exactly two cards that came out here. I'm going to take this one as the truth keeper of the moon, and this one over here on the right is the shield maiden of Mars. So what do we got for the truth keeper of the moon? Ooh, and this just came as a crossing influence. This King of Pentacles just pushed over this crossing influence. So this could be something that's hidden right now. I see that the truth keeper of the moon holds an opportunity in his hands that is currently concealed or hidden. But first, in order to be able to receive the opportunity that turns the world, it says, thank you, let's enjoy the world of tarot. We know in the world of tarot, what keeps the world from turning is being in too fixed of a position. So there is a need for somebody to get a different perspective here. This could be somebody who saw the mountain and not the eagle. Neither perspective is wrong. They just bring different challenges. And I could see this here. This person may be in a very fixed position, and there's a need to maybe provide a different perspective that this person actually will be thankful for, but this person has to make their own climb. I'm picking this up. This person is connected to the mountain. This truth keeper of the moon is connected to the mountain, and there's something that this particular person can only understand as far as moving forward by getting a lay of the land through making the climb. You may have already made a climb. That may be why you saw eagle. What do we got on your side? I feel you're the shield maiden of Mars. You too. You too hold a particular ace of pentacles in your hands, and it's right there over your heart. Okay. See, it's interesting. This King of Pentacles is letting this Ace of Pentacles rest on their knee, right? They're letting it rest on their knee. Maybe as they're taking a break, as they're taking a breather, climbing up that mountain, whereas you're sitting here more holding your ground, holding your balance, and you already are aware that this other holds the other half of this balance, and you're holding yours over your heart. You understand what's worth defending here. Your heart is worth defending here. The heart of the vision. The heart of the vision for the kingdom. So it's coming through. 4. See, these two, 4 and 4, will make 8. They'll be the manifestation point. But first, there's needs to be a way to get this world to turn, okay? for there to be this great possession. That's what I feel. It's like these two forces coming together. It creates great possession of power that is a transforming force. Look at that, bottom of the deck, the Ace of Pentacles. Wow. And it was 35 on the clock. 8 came out again. Look at this spiral of creation. So this is Gabo. This is something through these joining of forces that will actually be gifted from the gods themselves. Woo! And right behind that, we have the Empress on the scene. There's the Shield Maiden. The Shield Maiden of Mars. Venus. Isn't that beautiful? How the softness of the heart protects Mars. It's that Libra, Aries axis there. The self and the union. And this striving for balance between two who hold great power. But the one that needs to be united with must first learn something through a climb, And so there's no way to rush the climb. The climb takes the time it takes, Eagle. And you know this because you have that view from up above, perhaps from a climb you already made. Perhaps through a climb that you were able to, wow, lightning bolt. I think that's a confirmation. I was about to say perhaps through a climb you were able to make through a breakthrough moment that came through like a flash of illumination. Had you just chopping down that mountain with the edge of your hand, you saw through some kind of illusion. You found the way through the shadow to access the light. But you have to allow this individual to find their own way. And in the meantime, it's not about you trying to hasten this person to find you on the path ahead. This is more about you just maintaining the force within. There's all this lightning that's starting to come in as I'm talking about this. So yes, power surge. The thunder beings are speaking. This moment's coming soon. This moment's coming soon. You've been surveying the playing field, Eagle. You've been reading the room. The time will come to make your move. Let me see if there's any details that want to come in around this move. What is this move? What is this move that Eagle needs to make here? It's like you're readying yourself for this. Okay, something fell away. Bottom of the deck. King of Hearts. See, I feel this King of Pentacles is about to find the way through to the heart. There's something here that cannot be taken by force. Holding your horses. This is what got thrown aside. Again, another flash of lightning, okay? This energy is coming through very strongly for you. Hold your horses. You're not meant to hold the fire. You're not the one who's here to hold the fire. That's not your role. You're here to hold the sword. You're here to hold Fragarock. Okay, they bring the fire together. You make the spear of Lu. Okay, so you cannot usurp their position because you've not been charged to hold the fire, Eagle. You've been charged to hold the sword. That's why you're in the air. The Wanderer brings illumination to the mountain with the fire they carry. This is the Wanderer, this King of Pentacles here. And it's in their wandering that they will find their heart. And look at this. This is so beautiful. And then they access the Stargate that finds the way through to you. Oh, this is beautiful. I love this imagery. Look at this. Whoa. look at the liberation. The devil to the Two of Cups. Do you see? Somebody is resolving the challenge of the trickster, where all they see is all there is. And once they see it, they will break through the binds of the chains of illusion. And that is when the transformational force will take over. And these two will unite. This is an important ally that is approaching here. Approaching in their own time. So I feel like you're meant to just ready yourself for this, steady yourself for this. Don't be distracted by thieves of time who are trying to provoke you to look their way, because your focus is not meant to be external at this time, Eagle. It's meant to be very much attuned to your immediate environment, sphere of influence, and attuning to the force within you to know when is the right moment to act. Any hesitation on your part is coming through as guidance that the time is not ripe yet, but it will be soon. Top of the deck. The time will come. But do you see, the way through is found in you not insisting on holding the fire, bringing the fire. You are here to bring the sword. You need to wait for this fire to come in through the other, who appears to be facing off with a challenger. I think they're facing a challenger, and that is why they have this mountain to climb before they can reach you. Somebody that wants to steal their fire before it can reach you, because they know the empowerment of your two forces coming together. Kind of the deck energy. Let's see what we got here. There's something they can only learn from going up the mountain. But once they learn this, you'll bring your sword forward and the two will meet. Isn't that wild? Do you see that? Then you'll charge together. Okay? This is all I have for you right now. There's more that will come through in relation to these reads. These are just energies that are starting to drift in right now. Energies that you could be dealing with. We have all the fixed signs here. So Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Capricorn, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, it'll take strength. It takes strength. But that's what a hero's journey is all about. It's about building strength of character. It's about character development. And this is required for the journey ahead, because the journey is opening now. And it's a long road. It's a long road that is about to be faced here. It's the journey of a lifetime. But a decision that is pivotal will happen in the blink of an eye. I feel like it's coming. It's coming very soon. Okay. 44:04 on the clock. There we go. There's the other half, the mountain. Look at it. Bottom of this deck. I can't. Ace of Pentacles. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And it was 44:14. So yes, the balancing force, the tempering force, the alchemical component here of this pairing, the fire, the alchemical component can't do much with just the truth without it backed by the understanding, correct? That is the alchemical moment here. If you saw the mountain, you're also getting a lay of the land. Just like your eagle counterpart. But there's something that you have to face. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, and it's something you will only learn in making the climb. And so it's necessary that you have the freedom to make that climb. You already got a mogul modus operandi playbook. You've been making moves on overdrive, Mountain. You've activated the Tao of the relentless, and you will not give it a rest. And you may have achieved quite a bit materially in the realm of status and acquisition of material wealth, but it's made you perfunctory, mechanical, and a bit dull. You need to make contact with simple things so your eyes can take in beauty again, so you can recognize beauty again. So a vision of beauty can awaken for you where you become a bit dull, where everything is seen to take on a tarnished view. It's this state of simplicity that aligns you with the force and powers you up for the road ahead. You see, Mountain, you've been losing the goat while using the force in a way that doesn't fit the objective of the campaign. I mean, there's no real reason for remorse because sometimes you do need to use a little too much force to understand the balance, the wisdom, and the strength required to hold balance and power. And that balance is a key component of wielding power wisely. And though there is no remorse, the effort's been ineffective because you lost what you were seeking. So now you got to go and search to find it. And how are you going to do that? You got to change your use of the force from one of just brute will and hostile takeover to determination. Determination to make the climb. So you can meet somebody who's already at the summit there waiting for you. You see, there's also something here about giving a little space for the allies you need to maybe come around to your way of thinking, or at least be willing to take on board some of the strategies you have to put in play in order to come into the acquisition of this great possession of mutually shared power. It's for the betterment of the kingdom as a whole. You know, they can't come around to your point of view or even have the ability to hear your ideas if you're always coming at them with so much force. There's something about this to consider here. Your strategy has been too rigid. And what you need to understand, especially as you are about to be the wanderer, traveling through tricky territory and inhospitable environments amongst strangers, and you are a stranger in that strange land, and you're going to need some accommodation, and you're going to need to find people who can help you along the way. Everybody needs a helping hand. Something that's about to come in your life is going to require that you do have allies. And so when you're heading through unfamiliar territory, it's important that you do understand the customs of the land that you're wandering through. In order to not invite hostility, you're going to have to change your approach because you'll never make it up the mountain without. You know, it reminds me of people who go trekking in the Himalayas. It's very dangerous to trek through the Himalayas. There's always the threat of theft, foul play, and just being able to weather the environment as a whole. That's why it helps to have a Sherpa. It helps to have a guide. You need a particular Sherpa on your side, but if you're coming forward in the way you have been, you're only going to invite hostility, and you're not going to be able to make that passage. You could find your resting place on that mountain. Okay, so let's see how you can find more helpful accommodation. Here's the Queen of Swords waiting for you to come on through, holding that truth. I think that she's willing to witness your illumination. Let's see what we got coming in here. So see how two different perspectives, right? Eagle, mountain, both lays of the land, both achieved through their own means, but you both share the view at the top. This is how it's coming through, okay? How can mountain shift the current approach to find welcoming quarters here? Got to walk away from the way you've been approaching things here. You got to start to head on that trek up the mountain. I see you're heading off there with that fire mule. Only your fire to light the way. What we got here? I see. You faced a pretty harsh battle, man. Took a lot of strength. You were hung up there at the crossroads for quite some time. Took a while to get a different perspective where you'd even be willing to head into this territory. I see that. You were facing off with something from your past, something that had betrayed you. You fought valiantly, but you recognized once you got hung up there for a while that you weren't fighting for the right things. And now you have quite a few truths. 10 of them, in fact, that were learned through that experience that you're ready to bring forward and speak, because you understand where the true power is to be found. You understand that all the strategizing, all the plotting, all the trying to figure out the right thing to say, it doesn't hold the same power. It doesn't hold the same power as those who can just simply rest in the truth. But that's something you could only understand once you hung out for a while. Once you stopped taking action and you stopped and just held the line for a while, then you could understand how the frenetic activity was actually keeping you in this space of grief and loss. This is why it's so important for you to get back to more simple things, like just going outside and enjoying a walk. Just enjoying sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away, watching time roll away, entering that space of timelessness. This is how you find your truth. This is how you find your truth in making a climb. You know, when you're climbing up a mountain, you got to pace yourself. It's times it can be really strenuous. You don't know if you're going to make it to the top. You know, you have a goal, you have an objective you want to achieve, you have ambition, you know, there's something you wanted to achieve here, and you've been really going at it. But there's times when you're making a climb where you do have to stop, you know, gauge where you're at, get some rest, get a little perspective, maybe a different route to navigate to get to the top. Maybe a route that's not as strenuous, an easier way to get there. So I feel like you're kind of at a checkpoint right now, and you're about to continue forward with the climb. You may have reached a point, a resting stop here, I feel, because you had a rough go of it. Maybe you did encounter some marauders along the way. Maybe you did find yourself in hostile territory. Maybe you had to hit a hostile. Maybe you had to find a resting place for a moment, get the illumination of a truth that can only come through accepting a certain defeat, accepting that a particular battle was lost, accepting that maybe this isn't the way to find a way through because I'm not harmonizing with the other I need to harmonize with to bring these ships into port. But I see that time of enforced rest, that time of full stop, it's very helpful for you because it made you realize that I still got fire left. I still got fire for this vision left. I'm willing to head forward in a new way now. I'm ready to invest in this. I'm ready to plant the seed. And this is what will bring the victory. Victory for all the land, really. Moving away from all these swords, all this heartache. That's how you reclaim your fire. That's how you make the judgment call. And that's how what was thought to be done, a battle that was lost, becomes the charge for what's truly worth rising for. And then we find on the other side the Queen of Pentacles, which is pretty wild because the King of Pentacles came through for Eagle. So here is the counterpart. You find a warm reception there. You do find accommodation. There's something here, a vision that both have had. But there's been something about the delivery that's been off. The Stargate was not presented yet, so there was no way to get this to come on through. But I do see very soon the way will open, the world will turn, and justice will come on through. Look at this. King of Pentacles to the King of Cups. Wow, look at that. Eight weeks. Eight days. 8 hours. 8 minutes. Within each of these compartments of time, a special magic is taking root that's opening up this gateway where the two forces join. And together, they bring justice, they strike balance. And that King of Pentacles finds the path of heart after all. And then together they form a new strategy that reclaims the bounty of the land with the 10 of Pentacles. And I love this because there he is, the truth keeper of the moon. And there's the gateway they will enter through together. Powerful, Powerful imagery here. Let's do a cut of the deck on this. So these two forces are aligning. Do a cut of the deck here, see what we got. There is a battle along the way, though, I have to say. There are forces that do oppose this growth. So we do have to be aware of this with this lay of the land. But remember, the biggest clue is that when you overcome the limitations of the self, all battles are already won. The way through is you. All right? I want to see, before we close this out, with Tarot of the Dragons here, I'm quite curious to see what happens when these two forces meet, because it has been decreed by the fates. This is a meeting that cannot be stopped. I see it. It's very clear. But I'm curious about what happens when their forces align. So let's see what comes through here. That was kind of spinning on the top there. The Magician, look at that. It's the point of alchemy. Their communication is the spark that ignites the transformation, and they hold all the aces here. So they have all 4 jewels of the Tuatha De Danann. Together, they make up the treasure. Bottom of the deck. And that's what makes them such a mark. That's what makes this pairing such a mark with the 7 of Swords. This is a battle as old as time, man. A battle as old as time. There is somebody here who really just want to disrupt this union coming to pass because of how it transforms the balance of power. I see that it becomes more of a light building force. So there are the purveyors of darkness, which at this current time do hold the majority of the power. But this is a light building force, this connection, you see. There is that infinity loop of their 2 energies harmonizing. In 8 weeks max, this comes through. But I feel like there's indications coming in 8 seconds, 8 minutes, 8 hours, 8 days, okay? Could be something potent coming through in the 8th month as well, right? Whenever you become aware of time, you should bring that perspective in to tune you into synchronicities. 8 seconds, 8 minutes, 8 hours, 8 days. Whenever you're really getting caught up in time, this will help you find the way through. I think the way through for 2 is the way that came out. Okay, so this is the key to alchemy. There's something about the convergence of these timelines that's required with this. And with this, we have the 3 of Cups. So it's the 3rd road, the 3rd way through, which is the path of invigoration, is an Arisian path. It's not the path that either has been, how can we say, enforcing up to this point, trying to exert with their own will. This is the need to find invigoration through accessing the Valley of the Rising Sun. This is what activates the magic. So I had Raven come through. Raven is Libra. Raven is the medicine of magic. It's also Butterfly Clan on the medicine wheel. So it is emerging from that chrysalis state. This is the exaltation of energy. And with this, we have the 7 of Pentacles coming in here. This is where there needs to be some kind of investment made. The investment needs to be made in invigorating path of heart, which comes through the Sire of the Wands. Do you see? It's that energy of bringing the fire forward. So it's sort of like there can't be the activation at an alchemical point until the fire arrives on the scene, which is being held by the other counterpart of this dynamic duo. And this is the battle that is faced along the way. There's a lot of opposition here. There's a lot of opposition here. I feel like this Sire of Wands that holds the fire is just about to start this climb, okay? There's something that is about to occur that's going to tip off the opposition here, though, as they enter into this unknown territory that they need to be aware of. What is couldn't even get it out. Three of Swords. It's the crossing energy. Here's the Tower. Six of Pentacles. So I see here it's very interesting because the Grizzly is the keeper, the spirit keeper of the West, the water. Spirit keeper of the West, the water is a clue here. Perhaps the Sire of Wands has been held in place by the spirit keeper of the West. They've been feeding off this person's energy here. This is where they've been investing their energy. There's three here. There's a smaller energy. It seems unassuming, but do you see? It's standing in front of the bulk of the fish. These are the two that are meant to align. I feel like this is a little clue. And with that, I just saw another firefly out here, okay? So this is speaking something about this fire when the two come together here. There is a third element here. The spirit keeper of the West is trying to let us know there's a third element here that is taking all of the bounty here. It is supposed to be brought about by these two coming together that feeds the land. There's something that's meant to come in for many through their alignment. But I feel like there's an understanding coming through here for the Sire of Wands. It's like they may have been wounded, but they're still in possession of their heart. Do you see? They got a firm grasp on their heart. Nobody stole their heart. Look at it. They find their heart on the mountain. They find their heart through the climb. It's like they have to make this climb in order to reclaim their heart. There's something they are seeing through here, though. The loss of the last battle gave them the illumination of where they need to invest. It's like the knowledge was activated within them. They're going to reclaim the kingdom. That's what I got. It's like there was this force that was underestimated, that was allowed to get too close to the Sire of Wands, and as a result was able to create severe frisson in his kingdom. but he's been observing who keeps taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and depleting him. And as a result, he now understands the mountain that he needs to climb to reclaim his heart. It's a reclamation not only of the kingdom as a whole, the world that he possesses, but the kingdom within his soul. I see this here. Okay. So really, I mean, Eagle, you just got to chill out, man. You just got to keep building the light. You just got to keep building. Look at it. You just got to keep building the light. High priestess energy. Holding the balance, building the light quietly, internally, listening deeply, and harmonizing with the environment. And that means also being able to recognize when the environment has shifted in such a way so you can recalibrate it. That's what I feel Eagle is being charged with in this situation. Eagle is being charged with maintaining the modulation so the force can be held in proper alignment within. It's almost like that provides an avenue or a gateway that will allow the Sire of Wands to come through with the fire. And that's when we have the alchemical moment. Let me do a cut of the deck. This feels complete. I don't feel like there's anything else I can bring in on this tonight, but I know more will come. See, and these two here, look at how their tails cross and form gabo. Look at right now, they both hold power that's meant to be brought into balance between the two of them. They're both supposed to hold this power, share this power to transform the reality, to bring about this harmony to their kingdom together. They're both meant to achieve this objective, but it's still in the process of being balanced out here. And these objectives need to be achieved. This climb needs to be made. The Sire of Wands needs to make the climb. And until he makes the climb, it puts both of them in sort of a vulnerable position because you see there's marauders arriving on the coast here. Okay. That's what I see. They're preparing for battle. And what do we have here? The Seven of Cups. So the journey begins. Wandering through the valley of illusion, where glamour has been casted and opportunities seem abundant on the way to the mountain itself, but only one leads to the rebirth of the true heart of the campaign that's been decreed by the force that leads to the fulfillment of the magician and the high priestess. The third rub. Let's get the Eurasian perspective on this. I'm going to do a cut of deck with the Arcane BS deck. So it appears, Eagle, you are the waterway. You are the waterway. But because you are the waterway, you are under attack and you're trying to hold the line. You're trying to hold the line. And the King of Wands energy, King of Pentacles energy, the one who holds the fire here, has almost been facing off with you in a battle to hold more power than you when you're meant to both hold it in balance, and it's left you susceptible to these marauders, to the antagonists. And so there's a need here for you to really continue to be very mindful of managing the energetic balance here. I feel like you're holding that stargate open. So there's really a need for this Sire of Wands, King of Pentacles energy, this one who is attuned to the mountain to start making that climb. Like, I think that there's something coming that's going to jolt them into action. I feel with that tower there. They may have been feeling a little sense of futility, and I think that something's coming as an awakening moment. This breakthrough is going to come to like wake them up and move them into action. Okay. Detail, please. Yeah, I mean, we have the pupa vomiting on cats as the crossing energy. So yes, this is this restraining creative force that the high priestess is sort of having to hold within and keep it charged so it doesn't dissipate its power to affect the change desired once these two forces come together. Because there's been a lot of attack on this, okay? And there's secrets here. Both hold secrets. We see this with the cat medicine. Both hold secrets. They each hold a piece to this moment when finally this force that's been contained, restrained, can be released to affect the desired alchemical moment here. But this is sort of what's being held up. This is what's being held up while waiting, waiting for the Sire of Wands to take the action, to make the climb, to actually reach the portal, okay? It's got to get up first. So let's do a cut of the deck here. All right. See? The one with the mountain, okay, as their perspective, lost the goat while using too much force. The goat exercised their own power. They stayed in their own inner authority of the high priestess here. That's emphasized with the 9 of Pentacles behind the high priestess. Achieve the treasure of their own. So they already hold their power. They're just waiting for this character to meet them here, who's also, you know, in possession of their power in a balanced way. But see, this goes there waiting. All right, I got my power. I'm waiting for you to come holding your power wisely. But see, there's been too much resting here with the filthy mattress. That's what I see. Somebody's been just like finding hospitality in inhospitable associations. And I think that's how we're going to leave it off here. Because it looks like this thing doesn't move forward for either until this one gets a clue and finds their fire to bring it forward. So where we stand right now, Eagle, hold the line. Keep drifting on those heights. Keep surveying the lands because there's still energy out there trying to block the pathway. And King of Fire, It's time to set out into that strange land as the wanderer and begin making the climb. The sun will be there to greet you on the other side of the shadows.